Guys, what's going on? Hello and welcome to Serial at Midnight. I'm Heath, and this tall stack of good looking is the Kino Lorber May release slate. This is everything coming from Kino Lorber and their partner labels for the month of May. Kino Lorber, Code Red, Scorpion Releasing, Cohen Media. I think there's probably a few more in there too, but this is everything that's coming out in May. I've watched as much of this as I could before I came to you, but for the things that I haven't seen yet, they'll pop up in future videos or at CerealAtMidnite.com. The review archive lives at CerealAtMidnite.com. If you're ever like, did Heath talk about so-and-so? You just head on over to CerealAtMidnite.com and type so-and-so in the search engine, the search bar there, and it'll take you to all my coverage about that thing. You'd be surprised what we've covered over the last 5 years. Movies, music, comics, all kinds of stuff. So that's the archive. Let's dive in. Kicking it off very briefly with something we've already talked about. May is seeing the release of A Fistful of Dollars and for a few dollars more on the 4K Ultra HD format. These two new releases join last year's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly to complete Sergio Leone's Man with No Name or Dollars trilogy. Because there is a video just for these three titles on 4K, I'm not going to talk about them too much here. They look better than they've ever looked before. They are well ahead of the Blu-rays. The revisionist color timing is gone. And I think it's probably the last stop for how these... I think this is probably the last restoration for these movies, is what I'm trying to say. Maybe at some point they'll get some fancy 8K restoration, but I don't know. I think this is probably it, and if it is, boy, we're going out on a high note. These look great. The new references, the new standard for these movies on home media. Check out the review. Hey, Future Heath editing this video. Link to it up here and down in the description, brother. This is weird. All right, let's talk about the newest releases. We got Francis the Talking Mule. This is my discovery of these movies. I knew about them, but I'd never seen them before. It's basically Mr. Ed, but before Mr. Ed was a TV series about a talking horse, it was a movie series from Universal about a talking mule. And fun fact, the guy behind the scenes responsible for pretty much bringing these to the movie screens became the head honcho of the Mr. Ed series. So he pretty much just transitioned this to television. And I think he even directed almost or maybe all of the episodes of Mr. Ed. You always do your own independent research, but there's a nice connection there. If you grew up with Mr. Ed like I did on Nick at Night, it all comes back to Francis the Talking Mule. Universal, lower to mid-budget programmers. Universal excelled at programmers during this time. Things that may have been on a double bill, but even if they weren't, they felt like they could have been. 80-minute movies, And Donald O'Connor, the cat from Singing in the Rain, that's doing some of the coolest... The Make 'Em Laugh scene is one of the greatest movie achievements ever. I'm going to say that. That is... Donald O'Connor is amazing. He doesn't jump on he doesn't do any wall flips in these movies that I've seen so far. But they're very funny. The first one takes place during wartime, and Donald O'Connor is at war where he meets the talking mule. And shenanigans ensue because the mule only wants to talk to him for some reason, and he doesn't want to talk to anybody else, like the guy's commanding officer. But he does sometimes. And then, of course, spoilers for the end of the first movie, Francis the Talking Mule ends up coming back to the suburbs, back on home soil, and you can just imagine where it goes from there. But it's great fun for me, and I'm super excited that it's, I talk about this a lot. It's more Universal Vault movies. I love these Universal Vault movies from the 30s, 40s, 50s. So glad to have them. And it's loaded. They've got every one of these movies has a commentary track. I should also mention that in the last movie, I think it's just the last movie, Francis in the Haunted House. That's where we're at with this, you guys. 1956. Mickey Rooney takes over for Donald O'Connor. And Chill Wills was the voice. I think it was Chill. Yeah, Chill Wills was the voice of the mule in the first... I think it's the first 6 movies. And in the last one, Paul Frees, the Disney fans, Paul Frees takes over as the voice of Francis. So great stuff. I should show you this. The distribution of the films on the discs. One's upside down. makes me happy. They make me happy. You know what else makes me happy? Bronson. Now, this was an April release, but I didn't have it in April. It came late, so it's getting bundled in with the May. This movie's really exceptional. It's a 1975? Yeah, 1975 movie. Robert Duvall has been wrongfully imprisoned in Mexico. Jill Ireland, who is the real-life Mrs. of Charles Bronson. They did, like, I think 16 movies together. The love of his life. They were married for over 20 years. He was buried with her ashes. Fun fact. It's not a fun fact. A sweet fact. Robert Duvall, wrongfully imprisoned in Mexico. She is the wife. She hires Bronson to get him out, to break him out. It does not go according to plan. And it's a fun movie. It's really, there's tone, right? The 70s movies have a tone. And this one for sure does. This slipcover does not have anything unique about it, but, you know. Well, you guys, some of you guys really love a slipcover. Like, you'll pay a couple $100 for a slipcover? It's a piece of cardboard. Oh no, it's a hot take. Heath with a hot take in the Kino video. More power, whatever makes you happy, more power to you. This has a commentary by Paul Talbot, who is the guy that wrote the book. He actually wrote 2 books about Bronson called Bronson's Loose. The first one deals with the Death Wish movies. The second one deals with pretty much everything else. I've never read them. As much as I have seen Paul Talbot and have heard his commentaries on these releases, I've never read those books. So I got to get on that. I'd like to. Also, Bronson, and we're going to do something cool with these Bronson movies in a second. You're like, what does that mean? Stay tuned. It's going to be awesome, you guys. And we'll be right back. No, just kidding. The Violent City is a crazy, crazy Italian, it's an Italian crime movie. It's directed by Sergio Solima. Is that right? Yeah, Sergio Solima. Sorry, Sergio Solima. And it is got a soundtrack. I was trying to think how I want to go with this. It's got a soundtrack by Ennio Morricone. Different than what you might be expecting from Ennio Morricone. By the way, this is a 1970 movie, so we're talking about like peak 60s style. It's really good. And there are 3 cuts here. You'd be like, wait a minute, 3 cuts. There are 3 cuts. So the movie was first released it's an Italian production, and then there was an American production, or an American version with the dubbing and all that stuff, but they cut scenes out of the American dub. And then there was a re-release in 1973 under the name The Family. So you have your choice here. The Italian cut has been remastered in 4K. And it looks great. Here's the thing. The 3 different cuts, they all look different. They all have pros and cons. The con for the Italian cut, right, is that Bronson's not given his own line. Bronson and Jill Ireland are not delivering their own lines. But if you watch the US release, where they are delivering their own lines, there are scenes cut. And then, of course, The Family is a different cut on top of that, too. The 4K version looks the best, and it has the warmest color timing. But, of course, it's missing Bronson. He's there, but it's missing the Bronson voice. The Family cut of this movie, not to be confused with, like, this cut is made for families. No, the title is The Family. It is very, like, drive-in movie. Like, I think they just took a print and just scanned it, and that's it. It's dirty. It's got scratches. It looks like a drive-in print, which is cool for me. I mean, I like that stuff. I'm from the drive-in era, right? So, movies were not... I grew up watching movies on 35, projected. They get dirty, you know? So, but it's interesting. We have all 3 options here. I'll even show you how it breaks down. By the way, alternate artwork. It's the drummer for the Beatles. Did you guys know? Like... in the time when I was born. We have 2 discs, and Violent City, the 2 cuts of Violent City. No. Violent City is here. The 2 other cuts, the 2 alternate cuts are over here. It's got a commentary by the... I didn't even mention that Telly Savalas is in this too, and he's cool. He doesn't show up until like halfway through the movie. Audio commentary by film historian Paul Talbot. Again, Bronson is loose. Shooting Violent City. It's an interview with director Sergio Solima. And then the theatrical trailers and TV spots. It's great. It is legitimately a great Bronson movie. And Kino Lorber has been releasing these Bronson movies. They've been re-releasing them with the slipcovers. And here's here's that. These are all of the Bronson, what do we call this? The slipcover series? So, Violent City did break out. We thought to break out. Mr. Majestic. The Valdez Horses. Murphy's Law. And Breakheart Pass. And Chado's Land. So, just wanted you guys to see them all. They look beautiful lined up together. That's a handful. That's a fistful of Bronson right there. And I suspect that there's more coming. If there's not, that'd be a real tragedy. But it's a great time to be a Bronson fan. And kudos, thank you to Kino Lorber for reaching out to some of these European companies and bringing these discs to American audiences. This is the best version of Violent City you're going to get, in my opinion. IMO. Bringing it back in print without warning. The Graydon Clark horror movie. They had a previous Scream Factory release. I want to say 2014, 2015, somewhere in there. That's out of print. So in swoops Kino Lorber. They pick up the movie. They pick up all the special features that were on the Scream Factory release. It's got a new 2K scan. And they added Trailers from Hell with Mike Mendez. So without warning, there's the special features. And yes, in case you're wondering, unique artwork on the slipcover. So one more quick word about slipcovers. You know, those are there to encourage not waiting. Slipcovers are often limited so that if you want them, you support the release ahead of time. Sales can drop off of a release in the months following its release date, but a studio or the distributor needs to make as much of their money back as quickly as they can. So slipcovers and usually physical goodies are limited to the early pressings to encourage people not to wait, to support that release then and not a year from now or 5 years from now or never. So that's why they do it, and the proof is in the pudding. It works. It works. I'm super excited about this one. Son of Samson, new Peplum on Blu-ray. You know, how long have I been sitting here talking about Peplum and how I miss the fact that so many of these movies, I regret the fact that so many of these movies have been compromised over the years. They only exist in poor VHS quality versions. This is another example of that. Every version of Son of Samson that I've ever seen, of course we're talking about Italian movies from the early 60s that were chasing the 50s biblical trend. The big Hollywood, Cecil B. DeMille, all that stuff, but with unique Italian style. Yeah. And the only way I've ever seen this movie before is on one of those big multi-movie packs in terrible quality. I did it in before and after. If I remember, I've put it in this video so you can see my before and after. The VHS era version that I have been watching on DVD for all these years, and the new Blu-ray. And I did these with my phone, so it looks even better in person. But you can see, like, it opens up the whole thing. This movie is crazy. How much do I want to tell you guys? It's crazy violent. It's like the Ten Commandments, right? But with R-rated violence, like crazy Italian. These are the guys that created Giallo, right? It's sick stuff, man. This, like, one guy gets, it's silly, but it's one guy gets, there's a big war scene, a big battle at the end of the movie, and this guy gets stabbed with a pitchfork. It's like a wooden pitchfork with the three prongs, and like one goes in his mouth, and he's just like pinned in the ground. I'm like, whoa! It's like, you never get that in Hollywood movies. And it's bodybuilders, right? And they made a couple of dozen of these. This is actually, so in America, they marketed it as Son of Samson. But it was the first Maciste movie. There were a couple of dozen Maciste movies in Italy, and they also did a bunch of Hercules movies and Goliath movies. It was the first Maciste movie, but for foreign audiences, they're like, it's Samson, see? So that's what it is. It's got a commentary by David Del Val and Michael Varanti. But the real draw here is that it has never looked so good. It's been licensed from, is that Unitas? Is that how you pronounce that? So another European license. I know there's one more Samson movie in this deal. So excited about it. We got to support this stuff. That's what it comes down to, is if you're interested in this. All the time that I've spent here talking about the movies over the last 5 years, Peplum is the one thing that people seem the least interested in, and it was the thing that I was like, guys, I know you like horror. I know you like 80s action movies, but Westerns are cool, and Peplum is cool, and like crime movies are cool, and noir is cool. And so guess what? One by one, noir has been picked up on, Westerns have been picked up on. All the stuff that I've been trying to get people more excited about, people are getting more excited about. People are finding them. Peplum is still the anomaly that people are like, I don't know. But things like this, they give me hope. And I'm like, if we support these, maybe they'll find more. And maybe we can have more. Maybe there'll be more. Maybe there'll be all the Goliath movies, all the Machiste movies. That's right. This gets me really excited because I love... It's not that the movies are great, because they're not great, but they're fun. Dude wrestles an alligator in this movie, and he wrestles... There's a guy wrestling a lion, and it's not like... You can tell it's not even It's not even the actor wrestling the lion, it's the stunt guy, or like the lion trainer. And for the close-up shots, it's just like... It's just like a lion rug, and he's just like, ugh! It's fun. It's a lot of fun. And again... crazy violent. They've buried these dudes in there up to their necks out in the desert, and you were like, well, it's movies, special effects. No, one, the guys are really buried up to their necks, and then horses, the dudes on horses ride through the heads as they're going. Like, who would volunteer for this? Crazy stuff. It's crazy. It's wild. All right, let's talk about a few more here. These are the slipcover ones. Is what that's. I have two more slipcover releases. Times Square. Wow, you guys. This one is a special movie. Okay, if you haven't heard of this, if you haven't heard of Times Square, directed by Alan Moyle. If you're like, I don't know who that is. Well, should I say co-director? I think he's got a sole director credit. See, there was drama behind the scenes. Alan Moyle would later... Well, here's the long and short of this. This movie was not a hit when it came out. It's about a mentally disturbed... This gal is mentally disturbed, and she's wandering the streets of New York. It all takes place... Pretty much the whole movie takes place on 42nd Street. It's a 1980 movie, but of course we're talking about late 70s. And she's mentally troubled. It's got a great rock and roll soundtrack. Somewhere on here they've got... Yeah, there's the list of... and more than that. But great rock and roll soundtrack. The Ramones play pretty heavily into the movie. And it's about, the kids are all right. They may be troubled, they may have some problems, but the kids are all right. Hey teacher, leave those kids alone. That kind of a thing. Alan Moyle would have such a bad experience on this movie that he would drop out of the scene for a decade, only returning with Pump Up the Volume, and then returning again for Empire Records. So that's the guy. That's who we're talking about here, and this is where it all started. This is his first feature. And it's very interesting in what it says. It makes me uncomfortable. It's extremely earnest at times, but we're so cynical and so ironic when you just get like unvarnished pain. Earnest pain can be uncomfortable. That's here. I should say Tim Curry is the DJ that is kind of the rapper. He's the kind of a through line for the whole plot, and it's great. And it carries over the audio commentary by Alan Moyle and Robin Johnson, who is the lead, co-lead. There's two leads, but it's mostly about her from the DVD era. And then there's a new commentary by Kat Ellinger here, the theatrical trailer. Really, I can't think of anything else like this. As is the case with all of Alan Moyle's movies, they have an authorial tone. They have an auteur tone. And they need to be seen. Whether something works or not, whether something is great or not, what are they trying to say? How are they saying it? There's a lot here in Times Square. Treasure of the Four Crowns in Supervision 3D. I have not watched this one yet. I'm super excited to check this one out because it comes with... So this is... It comes with Kino Lorber and 3D Film Archive branded glasses. I've been following the restoration of this for a while behind the scenes, and it's great. Here's what I love about this. So it includes both the... I don't even know how you'd say this. BD 3D, the polarized and anaglyphic versions of 3D for this. So the red and blue, or polarized 3D, or you can just watch it in 2D. So there's three versions of this on this package. I would like to watch it in 3D. I like watching. It'd be the red. I don't have a 3D TV, but it would be the red and blue. But I love that we have the option for this. So again, I've never seen this movie, or I haven't seen it yet, so I'm excited to check it out. But there's the special features. I don't want to talk too much about something I haven't seen and present myself as being knowledgeable about something that I'm not. So I think it's best to lead with honesty. But I have known about this one. I knew about the restoration for this and the work that was being done to save it. And now the fact that there's all these, the three different versions. And by the way, another Italian movie directed by Ferdinando Baldi. All these guys, now see I'm back on my Italian thing. All these guys started with Peplum. And then the same guys move into spaghetti westerns. And then they do Italian spy comedies and sex comedies. And it's just outright spy movies. But a lot of times the Italian approach to some of this stuff was funny. They liked sex comedy. So Peplum to spaghetti western, to spy movies, to sex comedies, to the crime movies of the late 60s, early 70s, to giallo. And then by the 80s, they're doing post-apocalyptic movies. They're doing stuff like this. They're doing horror, just general horror. The same people. And that's so exciting. You just trace the trends of Italian cinema and it's the exploitation cinema of Italy and how they were, it's like 30 years of exploitation with a lot of the same people. So, I don't know. It's pretty cool to me. All right, where are we going to go next? Let's talk about Flower and Drum Song, Rodgers and Hammerstein musical. It's got Nancy Kwan. I've never seen this, or I have not seen it yet, because I'm a gonna. But so I can't really say too much about it. It's a new 2K scan, new 2K master, loaded up with some special features there. Those Rodgers and Hammerstein guys, what did they ever do? It actually looks great. I know the reputation of this movie, and it looks great. I'll check. We'll talk about it soon. This is one that I'm also curious about. This is Sacco and Vanzetti. Sacco and Vanzetti. Music by Ennio Morricone again, and this is directed by Giuliano Montaldo. This was interesting because it's how do I want to say this? It feels ripped from the headlines. This is about immigration. It's a movie from 1971, so the movie's over 50 years old, and it's about the 20s. But it's about Italian immigrants, and reading the back of this, which I'm not going to read to you. I'll hold it up. If you want to read it, go for it. It sounds very similar to where we find ourselves today, 100 years later. Joan Baez, she's got a song here with Ennio Morricone. And it stars, one of the co-stars here is Gian Maria Valente, which is the El Indio from For a Few Dollars More, and also for he's in A Fistful of Dollars. So people know him as an actor. This is another one. Did I say this is another one of those European deals? We have this because of this European deal. So again, thanks to Kino Lorber for going after these deals. You guys, I'm going for it. Miklos Jansko. New 4K restorations of these films. In April, the April coverage, we talked about some new Miklos films that had come in I think there are 3 films in the pack, and this is the box set. And guess what? This booklet is written by Martin Scorsese, which is exciting for me because I love Scorsese, the historian. And let's see if this shows. So the films, The Roundup, The Red and the White, The Confrontation, Winter Wind, Red Psalm, Electra My Love. So that is, 9 Miklos Jansko movies from the last 2 months. The last 30 days, really, that have been presented on Blu-ray. So great time to be learning your movie history. He was the master of the long shot, the creator of, I don't know if he was the creator. He is known for his long shot, long tracking shots that go on and on and on without cutting. You don't cut away. It's just one continuous tracking shot for as long as he could hold it. That was kind of his deal. So here's, I'll hold that up for you. You can read all the special features. Yeah, my voice, it's getting hoarse. It's getting harder to talk. This is my 4th video today, and one of the videos that I've already done was an hour, so I'm losing my voice very quickly. This is exciting for me. This is Mamba from the UCLA archives. What do they say this? UCLA Library of Film and Television Archive. Gene Herschel, Eleanor Boardman, Ralph Forbes, directed by Albert S. Rogel. This is a 1930 technical. I want to make sure I'm doing this justice here. The first feature-length, all-talking Technicolor drama. Mamba was a bold attempt by the low-budget Tiffany Productions to compete with the major studios. For decades, it was considered a lost film until an original print was discovered in Australia. So, 1930, it's 74 minutes. The first full-length Technicolor talkie, right here, Mamba. That is time machine. We're in a time machine. Great stuff here. Audio commentary by Brian Trenchard Smith, the Australian exploitation maestro, Brian Trenchard Smith. I'll just hold up the rest. Why read it to you when I can show you and you can see for yourself? All right, we're moving into Cohen Media, Cohen Films collection. And we're going to kick it off with the one that I've seen, which is Dementia. This movie is crazy. It's awesome, but it's crazy. If you like the Twilight Zone and like Mystery Science Theater 3000 and Rob Zombie and like horror movies of the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, and you haven't seen this, do pick this up. It is safe to blind buy if you like those things. It is a very surreal movie. It's less than an hour. What is this? 56 minutes. It is 1953. It does fall under the horror genre, but it's just weird, man. It's weird. It's almost like Salvador Dali did this. This girl, I don't know. It's an experimental. It's surrealism. It's like a waking dream, and it's shot in black and white, and reality blends in with dreams, and it's a 53-minute tour de force from, I'm looking for the John J. Parker. 1950s foray into the mind of psychosexual madness, set entirely in a nocturnal twilight zone that blends dream imagery with the cinematic stylings of film noir. It's ticking all my boxes. Dementia follows the tormented existence of a young woman haunted by the horrors of her youth, and it goes on. And it does all those things. Bonus, the complete feature recut and re-released as Daughter of Horror. So after the movie comes out, it has no words. It's pretty much a silent movie, but they recut it as Daughter of Horror, and Ed McMahon, Johnny Carson's "You Are Correct, Sir." Ed McMahon does the voiceover, and he's not like, it doesn't necessarily sound like Ed McMahon. He's not doing his like talk show like, "Here's Johnny, here's Dementia." It's not that sort of a thing. But it's interesting. You have both versions here. And again, pretty great. Maybe the strangest film ever offered for the theatrical release, says The Guardian. Overflows with horror, hopelessness, sadism, violent acts of terror, and outbursts of panic, says the New York Censor Board. And Preston Sturges said, a work of art. It stirred my blood and purged my libido. It's great. It's a great Saturday night movie. You know what I mean? Saturday night movie. This is one I've heard a lot about, but I've never seen. Year of the Jellyfish. Is this French? 1984. French with English subtitles. It's about a mother and a daughter who go on vacation together, and the awakening of sexual desire and like competition between the mom and the daughter, I believe. And from what I gather, this was pretty controversial at the time. They call it Cohen Films Collection introduces this French Eurotrash cult classic set in Saint-Tropez during the midsummer. This darkly biting coming-of-age story is a tale of obsession and sexual desire. So, yeah, it's got, it looks like no special features, but for the people that know that movie, looks great. I'm so intrigued by this, and I've just got to find the time to see it. Gagarin is, I guess, how you would say this. This is another All right, I am going to read the back of this one to you, but I think I can do it justice. Yuri, 16, has lived all his life in Gagarin Towers, a vast red brick housing project on the outskirts of Paris. From the heights of his apartment, he dreams of becoming an astronaut, but when the plans to demolish his community's home are leaked, Yuri joins the resistance. With his friends Diana and Hussam, he embarks on a mission to save Gagarin, transforming the estate into his own starship. So it sounds like imagination. It sounds like it's drama. This is newish, 2020. Yeah, 2020. And again, I don't see any special features listed here, but it's world cinema. So when we get into stuff like this, I say this like you don't know. I'm a studio classics kind of guy. Hey, that came out from Universal in 1952. That's kind of where I'm at now. And of course, I grew up with all the 80s and the 90s movies and stuff, so I know those like the back of my hand most of the time. But this other stuff is so far off my radar and so far off of it's out of my purview, right? So when I get the opportunity to review stuff like this, I'm like, it's a real act of discovery, and it's exciting because I'm so retro focused. When I see things like this that are new and happening in other parts of the world, is film fan affirming. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to say that, but it's exciting because you're like, oh, this is happening right now, and I didn't know about it. All right, Outside the Law, another Cohen, and we got another Cohen after this too. Outside the Law is this is a contemporary classic. This is an Academy Award nominee for Best Foreign Language Film from 2010. I'm not going to attempt some of these names. From award-winning writer-director Rashid Bouchareb, hopefully I did that right, comes the story of three brothers who fight for Algeria's independence from France after World War II. After losing their family's home in Algeria, three brothers are scattered across the globe. Massoud joins the French army fighting for Indochina. Abdelkader becomes a leader of the Algerian independence movement, and Saeed moves to Paris to make his fortune in shady clubs and boxing halls. Gradually, their interconnectedness reunites them in the French capital, where freedom is a battle to be fought and won. Sounds great, and was an Academy Award nominee, so it definitely sounds heavy. I don't always love heavy. Here's another one that sounds heavy, but I'm super interested in it. Have you guys seen Two Men in Town? Forrest Whitaker, Harvey Keitel. What year is this? 2014. Forrest Whitaker, convicted of a crime. Basically, he killed Harvey Keitel. I think it's his brother. Killing his deputy. Kills his deputy. Does his time, comes back, tries to settle down, and he just won't let it go. And so it's small town tension. When his former life catches up with him, Garnett has to make peace with his past and face the future head on with a gun. Special features The Fence, making of documentary. Did you guys see this? This came out in 2014. I don't even remember that. And I was covering movies in 2014, so I don't know. I don't know where I was during that. Maybe it was just super limited. From Code Red, Yeti. Now, I already have Yeti from Dark Force Entertainment, I think, put that out, that pressing. This is a bonkers kind of King Kong exploitation movie from 1977. What year did this come out? 1977. I hit it right on the nose. It is another, I think this is an Italian movie, if memory serves. Yeah, it's Italian. And it is just bonkers. 1977 Italian King Kong ripoff is nonstop fun and camp action. There are Kongsploitation. Where do you want to? I just watched The Mighty Peking Man on the Shaw Brothers box set from Arrow Video, and I'm like, oh, this is such King Kong exploitation. There are some great ones. It's such a bizarre time because when the Dino De Laurentiis 1976 King Kong remake came out, all these people were trying to capitalize on it. And some weird bat crap crazy stuff came out of that period, and this was one of them. So, any special features? No. They're touting the restoration as it looks like remastered in HD from the original 35mm camera negative. Okay. From Scorpion, another one I haven't seen. This is Sunnyside with Joey Travolta, not John. Joey. I believe Joey is his brother. So again, I haven't. He was in Car Crash. They Still Call Me Bruce. Hunter's Moon. Hollywood Vice Squad. I've seen none of those. Should I admit that I've seen none of those? I haven't even heard of several of them. Makes his feature film debut as Nick Martin, a young tough guy from Sunnyside, Queens. So, all right, I'm not going to read the back of this one to you, but it's one of those deep video store cuts that, like, what a world we're living in. I say this, how often do I say this? But it needs to be said. Like, this is the best of times. Yeah, you don't walk into Walmart and see aisle after aisle of releases, but stuff like this is coming out on Blu-ray with brand new restorations. It's got a new interview with actor Chris Mulkey, new 2K restoration. It's AIP. I just realized it's AIP. You know, I love my American International Pictures. Also, here's another weird one from Scorpion. I don't know, weird might not be the term, but a strange movie, Desaad. We're talking about Desaad. This is another American International movie from 1960. This was 1979. This is 1969. This is I haven't seen this one either, but I know the reputation of this movie. This is supposed to be like it's the historical naughty movie, is it not? Like, yeah, about the Marquis de Sade, the historical figure. By the way, comic book fans, is Desaad from DC Comics, Jack Kirby's New Gods? You have Darkseid, and then you have Desaad. Is Desaad a riff on the Marquis de Sade? Spelled differently, but it's pronounced the same. This is the creed of Desaad. He reaffirms that daily he exacts his sexual pleasures from the tender flesh of the women of France. But he was not always a purveyor of corruption and depravity. He was once a young boy, honest, innocent, and about to become the victim of another perverse brutality. Anyway, this is one of those that, again, I know the reputation, but I've never seen it. Crazy times, man. We're living in crazy times. And here's one that I have heard. I've never seen this. Jude, this is also Scorpion releasing. Never seen this movie, but I know a lot of you guys have been like, oh, that movie. But then everybody goes, oh, Jude is so good. It's so sad. That's how they say it. They're like, it's so good. It's so sad. Like, that doesn't make me want to watch it. That does not make me like, oh, it's so sad. Let me load that up. But it's Christopher Eccleston. You know, everyone knows Christopher Eccleston, right? I'd say the ninth Doctor. Let's go with that. And Kate Winslet. And his world could never change until she became his world. Michael Winterbottom. It looks great. It's 90s. What year is this? 1996. That was a great year for movies. Anything from like all these later 90s movies after the 90s indie revolution that started around 93, around Reservoir Dogs, and lasted until about 2001. There was this great indie revolution. And this looks to come out of that. It's a Universal movie. When I say indie revolution, I don't necessarily mean that the movies were... This is Polygram. I just mean like new talent, new voices, not franchise filmmaking, which there were franchise movies. There was the Zorro movies in the 90s. But indie in the terms of like new directors, fresh voices, unique takes. It was a really special time. That's when I became a movie. It shaped me. That was very fundamental for the tone of this channel, what I enjoy. It was a great time to become a movie fan. All right, we got a few DVDs here. The Sanctity of Space. This is from Kino Lorber in association with Greenwich Entertainment. Climbers and filmmakers retrace the steps of pioneering mountaineer and aerial photographer Bradford Washburn. It's 100 minutes long. No special features. Viva Maestro. This is the story of the composer, the Argentinian composer. Venezuelan composer Gustavo Dudamel. Heard him on a podcast recently. He's kind of a rock star. So this is about him. And I believe it's about let's see. Follows, let's see, Gustavo Dudamel, as he faces daunting challenges, uplifting, timely documentary. Okay. Follows him around the world as he responds to unexpected and imposing obstacles with stirring music making that celebrates the power of art to renew and unite. Viva Maestro. The Unmaking of a College. This is, I'll hold this up. This is about, it looks like a gotcha. The portrait, let's see. The Unmaking of a College tells the story of an attempted takedown of one of America's most iconoclastic colleges, Hampshire College. How a group of determined students succeeded in saving it, and by the same token, saved their rights to an education that taught them to think critically and expect a seat at the table. Bonus features has an audio commentary by director Amy Goldstein and trailers. The Revolution Generation. This is a 2021 Greenwich Entertainment movie. Exploration of the world-changing activism and potential of the largest youth generation in history. Shows examples of young leaders working to revolutionize systems that have failed their generation. Paints a powerful and hopeful picture of how today's youth can solve global, political, and environmental crises. It features... Yeah, no features that I see. And then, this last but not least, Super Wiggles. Any parents out there that might be showing Wiggles to their kids, there was not a lot of Wiggles on in the house when Mini Midnight was of Wiggles' age. I knew who they were, but I think we missed the Wiggles. But I mean, maybe we didn't, because here they are. They're still around. So this is a 57-minute DVD, calling all superheroes. It's a superhero DVD for the Wiggles. Dance skills, super ballet man. Yeah. Just for those that know. Kino Lorber sent this to me. I am letting you know. Featuring the Fruit Salad TV Wiggles. None of this means anything to me. I have no idea what any of this means. I feel like I'm speaking another language. I'm like, what? I'm Evie. I wear ballet shoes. And I'm John. I'm strong. So the newest showcases the newest members of Wiggletown. I'm sorry, Wiggletown. Okay, what do you guys think? So 57 minutes. There are no other features, but you got new Wiggles. Put this in the DVD player and entertain those kids. Or hey, maybe this makes really good late night view. Maybe you follow up. What was the movie we were going to watch late at night? Dementia. Follow up Dementia with Super Wiggles. Maybe that's the way to go. I don't know. What do you guys think? It was one of my favorite things to do every month is to talk about these new Kino Lorber releases, because I love the movies, and I get to talk about the stuff that I love, and I get to talk about the stuff that I'm just discovering for the first time that I didn't know anything about, and I get to talk about Super Wiggles. So I love doing these because they really throw me a curveball. They allow me to talk about things that I'm like, part of it's familiar, part of it's discovery, and part of it's like, huh? Every single one of these. So what do you guys think about it? Let's continue our conversation about the movies in the comments below, and let me know if you've seen some of the stuff that I haven't seen, and what you think about it. So let's talk more in the comments. Guys, thanks so much. Take care. Until next time. Oh, hold up. I'll also do I put purchase link? Do you guys use, when I put purchase links in the description of a video, do you guys use them? People ask for them, and then sometimes it seems like they don't get clicks. So give me your feedback on that. Should I start including more purchase links? It's all going to be to Amazon, because you can just go to Kino Lorber and order it through there. I don't have to put purchase links. It's all at Kino Lorber. But if I do Amazon links, would you use those? Let me know in the comments below. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Take care. Until next time, I will catch you later.